Well, hello everyone. I hope the apocalypse is treating you well. This is just a kind of an update of what we've been doing in Athlone and kind of our apocalypse battle that we ran before Christmas. So we had a slow grow league this year. We had a kill team tournament. We had a war cry tournament, and then we had a couple of different things. We had an introduction day. We've ran multiple days in the library. So for the end of the year, we decided, let's go big before we go home, So first things first, you're probably asking, well, there are no rules for Apocalypse in 10th edition, and you would be correct-ish, kind of. We're all fairly mid in our experience of 40k. So what I tried to do was basically design this so it was easy to run and we'd get through the battle in a day. But yeah, it was, you can see a kind of trench line. This is the setup we had. You can see a trench line down the center. We split the boards into 3 sectors. Each sector held at the start of the command phase is 5 points. And then each sector held also gave you an apocalypse card. It's fairly simplistic, but the one thing it does is it forces armies to run together. Then I decided I wasn't going to play, I was going to referee. So all the movement was simultaneous. So a team captain would nominate an army, they would move, and while they were moving, the other team captain would nominate another army to be moving. So basically, we had 2 armies moving at once. It was a combined turn. And then we did the same for shooting, charging, fights first, fights last. We may have fudged some stuff. This was all in good fun. If people are interested in the apocalypse cards that I came up with and how I worked on them, leave a comment. I could do maybe another short video on that. But basically, I said to everyone, bring 500 or 1,000 points. And bring multiple 1,000 points, because once you get wiped out, you can come back in. So the thing is, if somebody's army gets wiped out, they deploy their next army, or the same army if they don't have one, in the next movement phase. And people who showed up late, showed up for later turns, deployed in the next movement phase, was the idea. Now, I had 1 or 2 tricks up my sleeve for getting newer players in. I had brought a Wraith Knight, which could be just an army by itself. So yeah, we'll give you some kind of idea as to how it all worked. But I'll take you through kind of the flow of at least what happened, So yeah, this is the board setup. And then we had deployment. So you had orcs facing off against marines, knights facing off against necrons with the Silent King, Magnus leading forces of the Imperium. You can see some chaos, some Night Lords on the opposing side. And then we had sisters holding the line against the Night Lords. And then we had Deathwatch, who looked suspiciously like Space Wolves, but weren't, holding the line against the Tyranids. So this is kind of the deployment. And then with turn 1, this was the casualties. So turn 1, the Xenos didn't really get off that much of a shot, but they did lose Von Ryan Leapers, some orcs, and some necrons. But the one thing was nobody held any sectors except the Xenos held 1 sector. So they got an apocalypse card. So going into turn 2, I think this is, that's definitely still turn 1. And that is the turn 2 reinforcements. So we did have a Chaos player show up to join turn 2. So the Magnus Imperium got basically some Black Templar reinforcements. I think these were actually Black Templar. And Vastor showed up on the opposing side. However, for the Chaos card, the Xenos got all battle line units were OC4 for the next turn. And were leading by 5 points. But yeah, there was a lot of forward movement in this turn. Nids and Deathwatch are the only ones in this sector the whole time. With, I think, a bunch of Raptors from the Night Lords dropped down at one point. The Knights were doing great work, murdering Orcs and Chaos. And Vastor, as you can see, coming up turn 2. And yeah, it's a pretty solid fight. And there you can see some kind of close-ups of the fight about to start. Magnus decided to charge in, just kind of go ham. Yeah. So the end of turn 2, basically, the Nids are kind of holding one sector. The left side kind of get held by the Orcs, and the Xenos got 2 cards going into turn 3, and the Magnus Imperium got 1 card. Basically, Magnus' side drew a card that 1 unit could be targeted by a stratagem from each general on their side, regardless of keywords or anything else. And basically, the Xenos got 2 cards. All their Warlord's strength doubled for the turn, and 1 army, which turned out to be the Tyranids, charge range changed from 2d6 to 6 plus d6. With a lot of these, it was just simply doubling or trying to basically make the maths, trying not to complicate the maths. But basically, the Xenos expected to do a lot of damage with their Warlords, and it didn't quite work out. The Nids did do a good bit of chewing up of stuff, but the Space Wolves had discovered a Wraith Knight had also joined in on turn 3, about halfway through turn 3. And at the start of turn 3, I'd said, look for the console. Just to throw in another twist. But halfway through turn 3, a kid comes up, says, I'd like to join in. So then I pulled the secret weapon. So I had a storm wall from War Machine sitting in a box. No one knew what was in the box. So I handed the kid the box, said, just wait. Space Wolves discover a console in one of their buildings. I said, do you want to press the big shiny red button? I mean, of course they're going to press the big shiny red button. So then a man of iron emerged in the middle of the battlefield under the control of the kid. I was asked what his stats were. I said 10. And they said, 10 what? I said 10 everything. So he had strength 10, 10 wounds, deadly demise, 10 inches, with a twist, we'll get to that, sustain 10 and 2 attacks. So this little kid, who's probably playing in his first battle in a while, maybe first ever, takes a shot at the Stormlord, rolls to hit, and rolls double 6. Hitting 22 times with his strength 10 gun, which does 10 damage, and one-shots not the Stormlord, the Silent King removes him from the table. Both the Silent King and the kid were delighted. Everyone cheered. Great moment for getting someone into the hobby. Vastor died before getting to use his hammer. Magnus got eliminated, which was the first whole army getting eliminated. And it was a very bloody turn 2. At this point, the one sector was very empty. The sector nearest me was very empty. So, and I knew the Death Watch player really wanted to bring on his reinforcements, and somebody had dropped us in a Bio Titan. They weren't playing, but they just dropped us in a Bio Titan. So I said, okay, there is a significant Xenos threat deploying, and additional Death Watch resources are deploying to deal with it. So the Death Watch player got to bring on his second wave, and the Tyranid player got a Bio Titan. The Xenos army with their Apocalypse cards, they all got precision, and all Imperial forces in Sector 2 lost sustain and lethal, including the Man of Iron. However, the Imperials got double Apocalypse cards for next turn, for any sectors they held. Then I had to go. However, this is the scene surrounding the Man of Iron. Then the Man of Iron blew up. So Deadly Demise 10, automatic Deadly Demise, except the runes wasn't a D6 or D8 or anything silly like that. There was a D20 on site. So this is the hole left when the Man of Iron exploded. The last turn of the game, the Xenos drew get a free Avatar of Cain and get a free Evisor Assassin. So the game ended with the Avatar of Cain surrounded by Death Watch. And this is some of the casualties from across the game. Not all of them. But yeah, the main thing with this is it was good fun. Everyone was out for a laugh. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, if you want to know what all the Apocalypse cards were or anything like that, leave a comment. I'll respond as people question it. But it was a great way to end out the year, and I'm so thankful everyone had fun. All right. Anyway, have a great time, and like and subscribe and all that stuff.